Hello everyone, Wednesday night, and a little bit more talk about arrows. A little piece by William Gillock called Rondo in Classic Style. And there are some things about practicing that I wanted to really talk about specifically. I didn't draw them in yet, but we have here, there's the sheet music. And the arrows, I may want to refer to it. The arrows here are, that's one, that's one, that's a shorter one, that's kind of a longer extended arrow, end of the sentence. Remember, the arrows are like words. Let me show you some of the problems of practicing right now, and they're minor, but they're severe. Let me show you what I've seen with students practicing this kind of thing. They'll start on the first note and they will play this. Then they look for the next note. They stay. That's wrong. Then they bring this hand down like that to get to the G. Okay, I got it. Now I guess I'll play the next note. Now I'll go looking for the next notes. Now, these are all what I call broken arrows. And I may have said that when I talked about arrows previously, but I want to make a point of it tonight. What I just did, there's so much wrong with what I just did that it's hard for me to even know where to start. But let's look at that first arrow again. First of all, it's legato only for 3 notes. Those are short, and then there's 2 more short notes. Those are the most accented. The last one is the next most accented. Now he's done. Now, what I showed you before about what students do about staying on that and then bringing the pinky down, I call that earthworm legato curse. You got your legato curse. That's one of the subdivisions of the legato curse, earthworm motion. Let me show it to you. It's very simple to show. You've seen earthworms outside and they kind of walk like, they kind of crawl along like that. Well, take a look. I'll do it here. And it's all connected. Everything's connected. And of course, that's the legato curse. But they move a finger where they don't need to do that. I wrote a piece called A Step and a Skip. I think we talked about it. And it goes like this. Now, it's a very beginnerish piece. However, I catch them on all the wrong stuff. First of all, they go. That's the first mistake. They don't come off the key. So, right away they have to, oh yeah, that's a D again. Now they've killed themselves staying on the key. But, the bigger one to stay on is this one. And watch my hand. Watch closely at what's really bad here. Then they get on this one, they stay on it, and then the next note's the thumb on the D. They move the hand like this, and the hand is like this now. The hand's never going to be like that in this piece. The hand is always going to be over the 4th, at least for the first beginning. So, now if you have to think about it, that their hand should be in the air looking at the next 4 notes, so they land on the D. Their hand has never done this. Never done that. Okay? It's kind of like in the piece I just played. Let's look at that same potential problem in the rondo. See me bringing my pinky down to get to this note now? The thumb is no longer going to be here when that happens. The hand, it moved over this 6th immediately. You got to catch yourself doing this. Arrows have a construction. That's over. It's done now. So we start then here. He's over now. He's done. My hand has never been over anything but a sixth up there. Then it's going to fall over a fifth. But it never does this earthworm motion if you're doing it right. Do we ever do the earthworm motion? Never say never. They always say never. But I would say no. Even if I have to go, that's really not the earthworm motion at all. The earthworm motion that I'm talking about is when you hold a key you should not be holding, and then you go looking for the next key. That's what creates that. So looking at this piece again, I'm over a sixth, I'm over a sixth, and I'm over a fifth. And when I play it, you should see that in the right hand. Now this guy, is that a whole arrow? See, again, they put the slur mark there. I don't really play it that way, nor do I play this one with a slur. Listen to it carefully. Although it is a group of four, we can justify that. Here, because of the left hand, I'm going to be hearing three groups. So that's not an earthworm thing or any of that. Okay, now, what is a broken arrow? A broken arrow is when you're practicing and you set up that first arrow and go, it is a D. That's a broken arrow. Broken arrow is when you're not ready for the whole arrow and you break it. If you've determined is an arrow, and that's all an arrow, then if you go, it's sort of broken. The arrow itself is broken. If you made that an arrow, now it's not. But be ready for the whole length of an arrow. Not the sentence, that's not important. Not off the top, it will be eventually when you want to make sure everything is on time. But where do I see broken arrows? I'm looking at this piece. I'll tell you where I see not an earthworm move, but a mistake. Okay, I very often see this in this piece. Now that's when the pedal comes down. Where this pinky gets stuck down here. Okay? And that's a common error in that arrow. Gotta watch for those staccato notes. It's common because when people play this, they go looking for the next note. Now what is that next note? And this finger gets stuck there. And it happens in a lot of places. Generally between arrows, you don't normally want to stay anywhere. Now this piece lends itself to that, to getting off them. Maybe I can find another piece where it's not as obvious. I don't think that one's in here. Give me a second. Yeah, I'm just looking here for, this is unfortunate. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, there is one in here. Yes, there's one that's pretty good actually. Aeolian harp is a good example. I think we've used it before. When you're doing this first arrow, there's a tendency for kids to want to hang on that note. It's written long, but it's just going to be picked up by the pedal. Oh, that one too. They said they will want to stay here. And that's why you technically have to hear your arrows played right. The hands are right back. But long notes have a tendency at the end of arrows to want to be kept down. So when you're practicing this one, it's good to practice the first arrow. Just like that. And the second overlapping arrow will be this. Sorry. with pedal. Okay? So, broken arrows. They're okay, you're going to do them, you're going to make them, but you want to be aware of them. And you want to make sure that you're not holding notes down where they don't need to be held down, particularly the last notes of an arrow. Another great example in this piece is this. It's supposed to sound like this. But kids, I don't need this on here. It's making noises tonight. Again, when you practice it, last note's going to be short. But again, that's a note when kids are playing it, and they're playing it badly with no accent. Okay, now what's next? And they do this. You'll be very careful. That last note's long, but it's pedal long. And of course, that's our little syllabic, kind of like a 4-syllable word. Here we are. And we let the pedal hold that. Then when the pedal's got it, you could stay all day. Look for the notes, go ahead, but your hand is learning not to be anywhere right now. It's not anywhere right now. When you do that stuff practicing, you're training your hand. Remember, hold that note down before you do the next one. And that runs into all kinds of hot water. We're always looking for where we can have the hands off the keyboard. I've said that a million times, so I guess I'm getting like a harp, a Aeolian harp. I'm kind of harping on it. But that's just a huge concept. We get over in the second page here. I really like this piece, of course. And you've got that last one. I tell kids that could be an arrow. Now there, if you want to stay on the keys, but I wouldn't stay on that last one. Everybody would come up on that last one. Pedal will be down. There's nothing wrong with holding keys during an arrow. Not pushing them, but staying on them. Well, I had the pedal though. I probably have a tendency not to stay on them. The pedal's down for that whole thing. Now, I can keep that pedal down. I go looking for my next notes. If I'm practicing, that's fine. Just don't stay there. That's the point I'm trying to make tonight. The arrow, you want to be intact. And you want to prepare to do it. If you make the arrow too long, you could run into a little hot water there too. This is not a long arrow. This is not long. Those should be very doable without overdoing it, but come up at the end. This is an arrow. This is an arrow. This is an arrow. They're all separate. Hands come up at the end of them. 4 arrows. You can hear them. You can hear them. So, I know I've talked about the arrows before, but tonight I just wanted to make a big point about them. You want to make sure the rhythm is right within the arrow. You want to make sure that you're set, that your strategy is working with fingers and who's going to be where. But you don't want to hang on after it before the next arrow. Even if the next arrow is going to go in, you're going to go into it very smoothly. That happens. You just saw me do it in this piece. When you hear the last line, those are all very smoothly connected. Of course, the hand's up in the air, but the pedal's down. If I play it without the pedal, you can hear that last dit, even on the left hand. That's a dotted. Dotted, 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 dotted. The hands are up. Has to, because you got to get somewhere. But if you're first practicing it, okay, next guy's here. Don't dwell on that last note. And that's what leads to what I call that worm thing, but it leads to too many problems. And later, as you get it all closer together, everything will seemingly work more legato, but the short notes will always be there. Not the notes we let go of at the end of arrows. Okay, so I think that's enough on the topic, at least for now. I'll be mentioning it because when I teach, I see all kinds of places people do this. And funny enough, I only discovered this a while ago to make a point of it when I saw the student do that and then stay on the note and move the thumb up. It's wasteful. You're doing things that the hand does not have to. Okay, so I hope that gave you a couple of clues as to what to do with your arrows. Make sure they're intact and they're not broken, and you don't hang on the note at the end. Okay, that's kind of the three things summed up. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow, and when words fail, music speaks.